All right, guys. So today we're going to start the process of pre-germinating this Maya Bermuda grass, so we can get it down in the backyard and get it germinated. So I've got about 6,000 square feet. The total left in the yard to seed is about 15,000 square feet. I've got 50 pounds of this, so it means I can put down 3 1/3 pounds per 1,000 square feet of grass. So that's what I'm going to do. 3 1/3 times the 6,000 square feet is 20 pounds. So that's what we're going to do. So to pre-germinate grass, you use this paint strainer for a 5-gallon bucket, and your seed will go inside of this because you see those holes are really small, so it lets the water go through, but keeps the seed from going through. Start out putting these on a couple buckets. So the problem with this seed, I haven't been able to find it uncoated. I'm going to have to try and wash the coating off of this before we actually start this process, because you're not supposed to pre-germinate grass seed that has a coating. So I wanted to give you guys a shot of this label. It's 48% pure seed, 51.9% inert matter, which is all that clay stuff that we're going to try and wash off of this. That's less than a 20th% of weed seeds and other crops. So we got this all cleaned up. We got the seed in our paint strainers, but now we got to wash off the clay coating. So I think what I'm going to do is fill these up above the seed and then kind of agitate the seed around with my hands, grabbing the paint strainer. See if the clay coating will start coming off. If it will, we'll do that, change the water out as needed, obviously. If not, we'll find plan B. I don't know what plan B is. We got all these filled up now. All right, I'm going to mix this seed around. You can definitely see the color coming off and getting all over my hand. So I guess that's a good sign. I didn't think about this being a problem. So I'm going to change this water out and see what it's looking like. See if I can do this without making a gigantic mess. Actually, I'm going to take the bucket down. It's a lot cleaner. Alright. Mostly back clean. That looks a lot different now. Try to further wash this out as I fill it up. And it's already way cleaner. I'm not even going to agitate this time. I'm just going to take this one out. Go like that. Still pretty orange coming out the bottom of this. But much cleaner than it was before. I tell you what's irritating is that I had to pay to get all this clay shipped from Oregon down to Florida. Who just sent me this stuff without the clay, guys? I'm not call that good enough. Alright, so now I got the clay washed off. I'll take one of these zip ties. I'm going to zip tie this closed so we don't have any leakage. I'm going to plop this in here. We're going to fill this up for water. We're not going to touch it for 24 hours. We're just going to let it sit in the water for 24 hours. After the first 24 hours, we're going to take it out. We'll dump the old water out, refill the bucket with water, dip it in it a couple times, and set it back out on the ground next to the bucket. And we'll do that, the dipping, every 12 hours until we start to see roots growing. Once you start to see roots growing, it's time to throw that thing down. So I'll video the whole process as I do this. All right, guys. So it's now been 6 days, and this stuff is honestly a little overcooked. As you can see, there's grass growing out of it. I had irrigation stuff I had to get done before I started this, so it delayed the product a little bit. But this stuff's wet right now, so it's not going to spread out of a spreader. So what you do is you mix it with a carrier, and the carrier of choice that we're going with is Milorganite. Milorganite's actually got instructions on how to do this on their website. But for Bermuda grass, you want to mix it at a rate of 20 pounds Milorganite to 5 pounds of grass seed. So we got about 20 pounds of grass seed here. So that means we need, 80 pounds of Milorganite. So these are 32-pound bags. I'm going to use 2 plus a little bit of a third one. But I'm going to start with just 1 bag in here. Start mixing the seed in. Once we get it kind of incorporated, we'll slowly add the other 2 bags. But we're going to go ahead and mix all this stuff up. Yeah, it's definitely a little overcooked, but it'll be okay, I think. Hopefully. We've definitely got a lot more roots growing in here than what I would really like. Hopefully this works. But I'm going to start breaking all this stuff up so that we can get it mixed in with the Milorganite. I hope this isn't just an expensive lesson in how not to do this. We'll see if this will spread. Trying to rub these back and forth, break up the big clumps that are in here. I'm going to get this table set up so that I don't have to keep bending down and hurting my knees. So give me 1 second, guys. Might end up having to put a little extra Milorganite in here to get this to work the way that I want it to. So I'll get this process here. I'm going to keep doing the same thing for the other 2 bags, and then I'll get back with y'all. All right, guys, so I used a slightly different method on that second bunch of grass seed, and it seemed to work well as far as getting all the clumps broken up and stuff. So I'm going to show you that. I'm sure that if this is a bad idea, well, I know if this is a bad idea, we'll find out shortly. And y'all can also tell me whether or not you think this is a good idea. But that first one took me forever to get all broken up, so I'll show you guys what I did on this second round, and the proof will be in the pudding in a few days whether or not we got grass. So what I did was just fill this bucket up a good bit with water over the top of the clump of grass, just like this. And then I took my drill with my little stirrer on it and slowly just started stirring this stuff up. And then I'll take my paint liner or my paint strainer, use this to strain the water out. Put this back over the top. Make sure I hold it on here good as I tip this over. Let most of this water drain back out of it. Obviously, the best way to do this is to do this before your grass seeds all start sprouting. But I didn't do that, so you work with the cards you're dealt. And then show you how much better this works than dealing with all those clumps. This stuff just falls apart. So mix this all in with Milorganite. And I've still only got one bag in here. So what I'm going to do is once I get this kind of all in a homogeneous mixture, I'll separate this out into 3 buckets, add some Milorganite in here and dump a bucket in and incorporate it all. This stuff is still wet. Too wet to spread for sure. I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to go okay, even with it being germinated as much as it was. Hoping that I didn't do any damage to anything by mixing it all up the way that I did. But we'll find out. It's definitely germinated, so we should have grass growing in, I would say, less than 48 hours if everything went well. There's already some green here, so. All right, I'm gonna get this divided up into these buckets and put some more Milorganite in there, and we'll mix it up. So I've got this seed Milorganite mixture divvied up into 3 buckets pretty evenly. I'm going to go in with a full bag, and we'll mix 1 bucket in, and then we'll put that into the spreader, and so on and so forth with the other 2 buckets of seed. And Milorganite is slow release, so I'm not concerned about it burning the yard. Any clumps that I'm seeing as I'm going, I'm trying to break up. So we get a nice uniform mix here. Alrighty, I'm gonna call that good for the first one. I'm gonna dump this in the spreader. So I'm gonna go with a 5 on this spreader. This is I think it's a Groundwork is the brand. It's from Tractor Supply. You're not gonna find a spreader built like this for a better deal than Tractor Supply. I don't remember exactly what I paid for this thing, but it's got the pneumatic tires. It's really good steel construction. I'll put a picture of why you don't want to use a Scott's spreader that has the open wheels on the side. The open wheels will actually catch the fertilizer if you're spreading fertilizer or whatever it is and leave little lines going up and down your yard. There's some pictures. You'll look at a yard, it'll be nice and green, but then you'll have stripes of more green areas going down the yard where you walk the spreader through. I don't think I'm going to be able to get all this in one. Definitely not. We're going to have to do several passes with this. But that's all right. So y'all get the process there. I'm going to go set you guys up in the backyard and we'll start spreading this. So So soil prep back here is not quite as good as what I would want it to be, but again, we're working with pre-germinated grass seed. You kind of got to go whenever that stuff's ready to go, and I feel like I've pushed it back as far as I can without completely losing it, and we'll see. We're doing, I know y'all can only see this area here, but we're doing the whole entire backyard. I'm not sure how well stuff's going to grow over there because it gets a lot of shade, but we're going to try it and see. I mean, the worst thing that happens is it doesn't grow. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, and we'll start spreading. I'm hopeful that we will end up with faster and better results than last time I did this, which I didn't film. That was before I started this whole thing. But I'm hopeful that this is going to go well. Cautiously optimistic. Alright, I think I got one solid coat on everything. I'm going to go ahead and open this up some more so we can get some more flow. We got a lot of material to get out. I'm going to go back down here and start from the beginning. Alrighty, that's the first one down. I'm going to go mix up another one and be back here in a minute. So before I put down that next load of seed, I want to talk real quick about some restrictions we have with fertilizer here in Florida, and Brevard County specifically. We are not allowed to use any nitrogen or any phosphorus from June 1st through September 30th. So today is May 30th, which means that we have today and tomorrow that we can put nitrogen out. And then we have to stop until October 1st. The reason that they do that is because we get such crazy storms here and there in the summer. You may get an inch of rain in an hour, and it rains almost every day, and it's just downpours. So what happens is if you put nitrogen out is it all runs out into our water systems. And the Indian River is home to manatees, which are endangered, obviously. Manatees eat seagrass. If the Indian River gets pumped full of nitrogen and phosphorus, it gets these gigantic algal blooms. The algal blooms provide enough shade that the seagrass doesn't grow, and then the manatees don't have anything to eat. We don't want to get rid of manatees just because we want green yards. The other part of that too is when we have those massive storms that come through here, all the lightning that is produced provides a massive amount of nitrogen in the water that's coming down. You don't need to supplement nitrogen in Florida in the summer. You have plenty of it because of the lightning. Phosphorus, you're really not supposed to apply unless you do a soil test and it indicates low phosphorus. But check your local regulations if you're in Florida. Make sure that you're following them so that we can protect our waterways and enjoy them for years to come. I'm gonna go put this second load down. All right, guys, getting ready to go down with the last hopper full of this stuff. So one more thing about the fertilizer, how we're not supposed to use nitrogen or phosphorus down here for such a long period of time. So most of y'all probably know this, but if you don't, there's three numbers on the back on a bag of fertilizer. Milorganite, it is 640. That means it's 6% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, and 0% potassium NPK. So 6% nitrogen, only 2% of which is a fast-acting nitrogen. I'm putting down 128 total pounds of the product. So 2% of 128 is what? 2.5 pounds. And I've got 6,000 square feet here. So 2.5 pounds and 6,000 square feet is almost nothing. We're not in any danger of getting fertilizer burned from nitrogen. In fact, Bermuda loves nitrogen. We could probably put down 2 pounds in a month on Bermuda and it would be fine. Obviously, I'm not going to do that because we have restrictions. But maybe after September, we'll try and push it and see how much nitrogen we can put down and still have green grass. Alrighty, got all that out. I'll take y'all around real quick, kind of show you what it looks like. So all the white specks that you see in here, that's your Bermuda seed. All the black stuff's obviously the Milorganite. But you can see that Milorganite helps spread that Bermuda seed out nice and even. So got good seed to soil contact. I may rake this over with the back of a rake just to help cover it up a little bit before I water it in. But then we'll get this all watered in. And hopefully we'll have some grass here real shortly. I decided to go ahead and rake this stuff in. I'm using the back side of this leaf rake. Promote seed to soil contact, help bury that stuff down just a touch. So a seed like this, it's important that we keep it wet, damp. We don't want it soaking wet, obviously, because then it'll wash away. But you don't want it to dry out either. So I'll probably water this like 3 times a day, maybe 4, for 10-15 minutes a piece. Keep the soil damp, but not wet enough that we start getting water runoff anywhere. Give this stuff the best opportunity to take hold as we can, and then as we move forward, once we get good germination, I'll let it grow till it's 1.5 to 2 inches tall before I cut it. Once that happens, we'll slowly start tapering the water down. The number of times we water will taper down. The amount we'll try and keep about the same. So instead of going 3 times a day for 15 minutes, we might go 2 times a day for 20 minutes, and then we might go 1 time a day for 40 minutes, and then we'll slowly start going every other day, and so on and so forth until, I mean, really shortly we won't have to water it at all because it's going to be raining every day here. You can about tell what time it is by what the weather is in Florida in the summer. If it's raining, it's sometime between 3 and 4 o'clock. Like I said, I didn't get the soil here prepared as well as I would have liked to, but this has been a learning process for me. I've never done this before. It's the first time I've ever had a yard. First time I've tried to seed Bermuda grass. Try to do as much research as I could prior and apply it all. But obviously I'm not perfect, so errors that I make, if I'm making an obvious error, leave it in the comments below so that other people who watch this video don't make the same error. And ideally I would have gotten this not only all just bare soil, but as flat as possible before I started. Because now if I ever want to real mow this, I'm going to have to put a bunch of sand down for leveling. Which I don't know if I'll ever real mow this or not. This is the backyard. I probably will end up real mowing the front yard. If you guys like this kind of content, be sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, share it with your buddies, share it with your pals, share it with your enemies. If you don't like it, comment that too. Helps the algorithm. Try to read and respond to as many comments as possible. I do have a day job, so can't promise to respond to them all, but I do try. Help grow this channel. It's the only way it'll grow is with you guys. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna go crank this sprinkler up, clean up my mess up front, and yeah, we'll see you. I'll come back out here and check this daily, update y'all on what I'm seeing, whether or not we wasted all that seed or not. Alright guys, so it's 4 days since we threw down our seed. You don't see a whole lot, but if you get down close, we got little Bermuda sprouts growing all over the place. So there's some spots that are barer than others, like over here there's not as much. But then there's some right here. Pretty consistent coverage throughout the yard. So I've got high hopes. I will keep y'all updated as this grass starts to come in, and hopefully we'll have some grass over here soon. Well guys, you may notice that there's a lot more green back here than when we laid seed, because we've got a lot of Bermuda germinating and growing. We've also got a lot of weeds growing. When you germinate seed, when you're growing grass from seed, you're going to get weed pressure. It's just part of the process. But you may be asking yourself, why aren't you excited? Well, I'll tell you, Timmy. Did what I thought was good research on the Maya Bermuda grass before I started this. Looked at the National Turf NT. I'll put the acronym in below. I don't remember what it was. It had pretty good reviews of it. But behind y'all is where I seeded the first round, and that's been, I don't know, 2 months now at least. And I noticed the other day when I was cutting it that I don't see any stolen growth or any evidence that the grass is spreading like Bermuda grass should. Bermuda grass should go crazy spreading, especially if you cut it all the time, which I've been cutting this pretty often. So I didn't see anything back there. So I started reaching out on Facebook groups asking people who've used the Maya Bermuda grass, and I started reading forums online. Unfortunately, it's a fairly new cultivar of Bermuda grass, so there's not a ton of information. But what I've found, both in the forums and from people who have also seeded this kind of Bermuda grass, is that even a year in, people are seeing very little lateral growth. So I reached out to the company I bought this from because I bought 50 pounds. I got one 25-pound bag that I was going to use for the front yard that I haven't touched yet to hopefully return that. I've not heard back from that company, so I'm not going to say anything good or bad about them. But I haven't heard anything back, I'll say that. I'm going to try and practice some patience back here and see kind of what happens as time moves on. But my hopes aren't super high. I ordered a different cultivar for the front yard, which is Monaco Bermuda grass, which has raving reviews, both from scholarly articles and from people who've actually used it. So that's what we're going to go with in the front yard. We'll see. I'll give this, I don't know, a month or so, see if it does anything down there. If not, then we're going to end up doing the whole thing over again, which is okay. It'll give me a little bit more time to actually get the ground prepped and not jump the gun like I did with this one with germinating the seed before the ground was ready. Um, so yeah, that's where we're at. Kind of disappointed, but what are you going to do? You live and you learn. If y'all have used Maya Bermuda grass and had good success, I'm sure that I could overseed this and overseed this and overseed this and overseed this and get a thick lawn, but that's not the way Bermuda goes, and that I wanted Bermuda specifically for its ability to repair itself. We've got 2 dogs, about to have a baby boy, and so this yard's going to get a lot of wear on it. And want something that can fill itself back in as the dogs run around and get their zoomies and all that stuff, and the kids act crazy back here. I mean, I want something that's self repairing, and it just doesn't seem like this is going to be it. I could have gone with St. Augustine back here, but St. Augustine, I don't know. I don't like walking on St. Augustine, so that's why we went with Bermuda. And we'll get it to work. We'll if we got to, we'll switch to the Maya in the backyard as well. And I expect the Maya is going to be robust enough in the front yard that I could probably plug in front of the pool and behind the pool and just seed that area over there and that area behind me, and the whole thing would fill in. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, it'll just start growing like Bermuda's supposed to grow. But I don't have high hopes for that. So if you've had good luck with Maya Bermuda grass, leave it in the comments below. If I did something wrong with Maya Bermuda grass and that's why it's not spreading, leave it in the comments below. If you have tricks to get it to spread that likes, I don't know, iron or calcium or something that all of a sudden makes it start spreading like crazy, I'm open to suggestions. I just am kind of disappointed with it, and I'm hoping that the company that I bought it from will reach back out to me and accept the 25-pound bag that I have that's unopened back. But it's yet to be seen. I emailed them about 2 weeks ago. There's nobody you can call. I emailed them about 2 weeks ago and have not heard anything back. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Ollie, come here. Come here. Come here. Are you gonna be crazy tearing up the grass? Are you gonna be crazy tearing up the grass? That's why I need Bermuda that heals itself. Here she comes again. What? What? Maya ain't it?